Sarah, weather forecast today.
Today's forecast, a lot of sunshine, blue skies, marine clouds. Just the perfect day to go outside and relax. That's your forecast. We'll be right back.
Yeah, sunny days, sunny days, sunny days. No clouds in the sky, but again, away feels like it's been a freaking decade.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of The Social Beaches. I'm Carolyn Smith.
And I'm Kellie Bowling.
And we sell real estate here in Brevard County and Indian River County. And if you have any desire to buy or sell, or you're looking to get some questions answered, we would love to help. You can reach us at 321-422-2160 or at hello@coastalestateteam.com. And today we're going to talk about litigation in real estate. And I want to start by saying we're not lawyers.
No, this is not legal advice.
This is not legal advice. And that's important to note. Realtors are not lawyers.
Yes,
They're
so don't
not
ask
lawyers.
us to advise you on legal matters.
On legal matters. We cannot advise you on legal matters. So, but we're going to just talk a little bit about what can cause litigation to happen. So I'm going to start by just saying that I have a situation going on right now where there's a client with a contract dispute, and it's actually a builder contract, so it's different than our standard FAR contract. And I have advised them, you must get an attorney. And it's been difficult for them to understand, well, what do you think? What do you advise? And I really cannot answer that question. We aren't attorneys. And
we literally are breaking a law if we give you any kind of interpretation of contracts or legal advice regarding the situations. We aren't allowed to.
We aren't allowed to, and we don't want to. I mean, we don't want to give you the wrong advice. And our goal is for you to protect your deposit.
Yes.
Protect yourself from being in a situation where you're found at fault or in default on a contract, and also to make sure that you're happy. I mean, that's our goal. Like, we want you to be happy, but we also, we're all about protecting you, and we can't protect you if we're giving you the advice because we are not the legal experts.
I can assure you, if you lose a large deposit, you're not going to be happy. So,
So you definitely, I mean, that is something. So what got us talking about, what are the main issues that come up for contract disputes, and one of them is misrepresentation or non-disclosure. And I think we talked a little bit about with condos, for example. Let's say you're buying a condo and the person fails to disclose an upcoming assessment or potential assessment, because that's a question on the condo rider.
It is, yes, and you do have to supply that. You don't have a choice. Like with a regular single-family home, they can choose whether to fill out that seller's disclosure. They still have to, they're legally required to disclose, but that condo disclosure has specific questions on it. So if you just leave something blank.
And you have to remember that the condo itself, the association, has to send over what's called an estoppel. They have to send that to title. So here you are, days before closing, the estoppel comes in and says, oh, we have an upcoming assessment of $22,000.
That's a big deal.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is you're probably not going to close. There's going to be a contract dispute. People are going to be fighting about it. So you always want to disclose, and Florida does have a duty to disclose law.
Yes.
So you are required to disclose.
Yes.
You are required to disclose defects in your property.
Well, I had that happen with a seller once where we found out that there were structural problems with the house. And this was after the first contract came in, and we saw the reports. We knew it was an issue, and they wanted to put it back on the market because that buyer canceled. And I said, okay, well, we have to disclose. And they're like, we don't want it disclosed. And I said, well, we have to.
Yes.
And they instructed me not to. So I told them I couldn't work for them anymore. So we parted ways, and they worked with a different agent, probably didn't tell her or him what was going on. And they sold the house. So, I don't know what the details of that transaction were, if they ended up disclosing or not. But I'm not willing to risk my license.
Yeah, we
that.
have to. Realtors have a duty to disclose. We have to disclose if we know of a defect. And if you, as the seller, refuse to disclose it, we still have to disclose it.
Right.
So we can't work for you if you refuse to disclose.
Yep.
So,
See, the other one's breach of contract. So if you don't close on time, or let's say you're the seller and you agreed to repairs, and then maybe during that process you discovered that the repairs are going to cost more than you thought. So now you're like, well, I'm not going to do that. Well, guess what? That's breach of contract.
It is. It is. And I just had that happen
Yes,
too
you did.
recently, where the listing agent relied on, and hey, I apologize that the inspector told us what he thought this repair would cost. I relayed that information, but they had time to go out and get their own estimates and whatever, and it was more money.
Yeah.
But they had agreed to the repair. So unfortunately, they're on the hook for that repair.
Yeah.
And when you come back and say, well, we don't want to do it or we want the buyer to pay for it, they don't have to.
No.
Once it's signed, sealed, and delivered, and it's a contractual addendum,
Done deal.
they don't have a choice. Yeah.
Yeah. Contingency disputes. So financing or inspection are not met. Let's say the inspector couldn't get out within a certain amount of time because something came up. Like I just had this happen recently. My inspector that we use, he got COVID.
Yeah.
And we had to kind of push things, but thankfully we ended up literally like on the deadline day of getting everything we needed to do
Right.
it done. But let's say that didn't happen. The seller doesn't have to extend any more time to you. Now, is it in the seller's best interest to? Yes, because you want to do everything you can to make sure that you're going to get to a close, I assume,
Right.
because you're that early in the transaction. Or what about, if they fail to get loan approval in a certain time, right?
Yes, that's a
this
bad
has
thing.
happened, and you can
Or the
literally
appraisal doesn't come back. Yeah.
yeah, you could literally get kicked out of your deal because you didn't meet your contingency.
And the inspection thing's a big deal because I feel like sometimes, and this is bad, but sometimes agents don't understand. Like you have to submit your inspection requests, your repair requests, your credit requests during the inspection period.
Yes. It
You
has to be
can't
done
come
during.
in the day after and say, oh, we found these things during inspection. Now we want this. Your inspection period expired. You're done.
Yeah.
You're now bound. So
Yeah, and we make sure when our contracts are beginning and they're commencing that everybody is aware of these are the deadlines that we have to meet.
Yes.
Do you agree? And once we have, yes, we're in agreement on the deadlines. Okay, well, you said you knew. So,
Right.
and all parties should be told, like the seller, the buyer, everybody should know what days everything is happening.
yeah, it's critical.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical.
That's another one. Here's one for title defects like easements or liens.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, liens are a big one. You know, typically the seller would have to pay that off at closing, but sometimes
I feel like sometimes there's like another party involved. Like somebody has some sort of claim on the property due to title,
right.
and it's not disclosed, or the seller may not even be aware.
This is true,
There's a
yeah.
cloud on the title, and that prevents the.
I don't think I've been in anything with that. I think I have had one over the next one though. But yeah, any kind of title defects. Well, I did have one actually. I had a seller. She was divorced.
Yeah.
She wanted to sell her house. And then we put everything through to the title company and they were like, well, what about Mr. So-and-so? And I'm like, well, they're divorced. And, her name was the only one on the property appraiser's site. But apparently he never quit claimed the property to her. And they're divorced like he was supposed to because the judge awarded her the property. He didn't quit claim it to her and then he died.
Oh my gosh.
So we talked to one probate attorney who was like, well, she has to go through probate. And I'm like, oh my God, this is going to be months. And we already had a buyer that was ready to go and he wasn't going to wait around for 4 or 6 months for that to happen. So then I called another probate attorney. Just second opinion is always good.
Right.
And he was so kind and he took so much time explaining the law to me. He pulled up their divorce decree and found that for me. So he had access to these records that I couldn't see because they're they're private in the public
You have to
record.
right.
And he was like, well, all you need is a title company that will understand the law. You don't need probate. And I was like, okay, I don't know why I wasn't using Prestige at the time. It was some other title company, but they got it done.
Yeah.
So, who you work with matters.
Yeah.
You need a good attorney on hand and a good title company.
And I would say that happens a lot when people get divorced, and in the divorce agreement, the one party is supposed to quit claim the property to the other, but they never actually do it.
Yeah. So why is that not part of the final paperwork? Like
I
you
don't
sign your
know.
divorce decree, sign the quit claim at the same time. It should all be handled together. And I don't understand that either.
I don't understand, but they'll end up like years later and they're like, oh, they got to go find
I
the
get if
ex.
there's like a mortgage and like a party has to refinance it in their name. That's a little more challenging potentially.
Yeah.
But if it was owned outright, there was no reason for him not to just deed it over to
They
her.
just don't think about it. They're like, divorce is done, whatever. I don't own the house anymore. And
They just
don't
want to be
think,
done.
Yeah, you have to sign a paper,
Yeah.
a quick claim, and it's not expensive.
That could
to
have cost
quitclaim.
her a ton of money. And she didn't have the money to pay attorneys for all that. So thankfully it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good for her. And the last one is the boundary disputes, which Ooh, that's not good. And usually you don't find that out until you get a survey.
Which is almost all the way at the end.
Yes,
Yeah.
can be right at the end.
I had a guy that was buying some vacant land. He was going to build like duplex or triplex on it down in Palm Bay.
Yeah.
And so we went out and we looked at the property, and, you don't know where the boundaries are because nobody's done the survey yet.
Right.
And so we had a surveyor go out, and, it's land, so you're not doing like regular inspections. So it's kind of early in the transaction. And we found there was like whole like sheds and fences on this property that were encroaching from a neighboring property who was not amenable to moving anything. And we don't know if the seller knew or not, because the seller wasn't here. They were actually a foreign seller. And so he was like, well, I'm out. Like, I don't have to deal with that after I buy the property and then try to get this guy to move his fence. It's been there for who knows how long, and his sheds and everything else that were like in the backyard of his properties. So we had to cancel.
And you should make sure, like, if you buy a property and you want to put a pool on it, let's say, like that's an important thing. You plan to put a pool on. You need to make sure that during, you either have a longer inspection period, due diligence period, or whatever, so you can get a pool contractor out there. You have an accurate survey, pool contractor out there that you can put the pool on the property. Some properties are not large enough, or
you've got a septic or setbacks.
Yes. Or there's power lines and you have to be so far off the power lines and you end up with like a lap pool instead of you're thinking you're getting the Playboy Mansion pool with the grotto.
Yeah, not going to happen.
You're getting this tiny little thing, and you need to make sure you do all those things during your inspection period. And people do lose deposits. I have had clients who change their mind, more than one, who change their mind after inspection periods, their contingencies. A bank, a lender is not going to write you a denial letter on financing because it's bank fraud for them to write the letter saying you're denied on financing if you're not denied on financing. So they're not writing that letter for you. So then you're stuck and you're giving up your earnest money deposit.
Yeah, in some cases, maybe it's only $1,000 if you're, getting a VA loan, or in other cases, it could be substantial, like, in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. So take all steps necessary to protect your deposit. If you need an attorney, if your realtor says to you, you need an attorney, or if your realtor is giving you legal advice, do not take legal advice from your realtor. Yeah. Really just don't.
Get an attorney. If they're telling you to get an attorney, they're not trying to brush you off. They are trying to help you and
protect you.
Help you. Help yourself, really.
Yes, and don't get like a divorce attorney for your real estate case.
No.
Go find a real estate
attorney. It's
find
like
a real estate attorney.
Yes, you want somebody who specializes in that and has a good and clear understanding of our contracts and builder contracts and all of that.
Yes, and can interpret and basically, you could end up having to go to court. So make sure that they're.
And if they tell you that you don't have a case, then do what you got to do.
Yes, That's right. That's right. So I think that's it. Yeah. If you have any questions on real estate law, go talk to an attorney. But if you have questions on contracts or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will see you next time.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Sunny day.